Good morning, everyone. We'll get started here in one moment. We have a couple people that are still entering the meeting room. All right, and then I think Nate, I see you first on my screen. I'm gonna try to make you co-host so that if somebody comes in and I miss them as they're coming in, if you could let them in,
Will do.
that would be wonderful. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's share. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining our CEJA reporting system overview. We are going to, I have a PowerPoint that's available that will have the RAs send out to you after our session. But today the plan is to provide an overview of the reporting system so that you can become familiar with the tools that are available to you as you're doing your planning and getting started. And after our session today, we'll send out again the PowerPoint and we'll go ahead and send out some a URL, a website address that you can go to for the testing training area. And we'll send out some usernames and passwords so that you can go in and practice and get used to using the system in a test environment. So today we're just going to provide a quick overview. This PowerPoint that I'm providing or will provide has just high level information. There's a couple areas that have like links to instructions and so forth that are within the PowerPoint. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out and we're going to take a look at where you can find information in the partner guides. And then I'm going to log in as a navigator and show you what that experience would look like, and then switch over to the um, Workforce Hub example. And so you can kind of see how those two types of logins or those access rights are a little bit different, but still accessing the same set of tools. So with that, we'll go ahead and jump in. In Illinois WorkNet, if you don't already have an Illinois WorkNet account, you'll need to have an Illinois WorkNet account. And so to do that, you just click sign up and enter the required information. And then you just let either your RA or me know that you're in the system. And then once we have that information, we know which grantee you're with, then we can change your account to a partner account and we can give you access to the system. So again, right there, that's the sign up. We do have partner guides available for each of our programs. So let me just click on it, just show you just real quick. Up in the header, you'll see there's an icon here for partners. So you just click on partners and it flips you over to the blue side, which is the partner side. And you'll see we have these different program guides for partners, and we do have them. You'll see ClimateWorks, navigators, hubs, returning residents. So while they are all very, very similar and use the same reporting system and similar tools, there are some subtle differences between them. And so you can find the information that's specific to your program in these program guides. So I'm just going to click on the Workforce Hub one real quick. In each of these partner guides, whenever you are in there, you can, once you're logged into the system, if you're not logged in, it'll prompt you to do so, but you can click Workforce Hub's dashboard, and it'll take you to your listing of customers. We have a policies and procedures area that have the different, chapters that are available, and you'll see that we have, depending on the area, instructions for the reporting system, and then related resources and the procedures manual. I see your hand raised, Nate.
Yeah, Natasha, thanks. There's a question in the chat, and I wonder if you might be able to just address um, folks who have access to the system through other grants. How should they proceed if they're now, a new grantee for CEJA, as far as like system access and creating accounts and all that?
Yeah, if you already have an Illinois WorkNet account, then you don't need something separate. We just need to know that you need to have access to this particular one, whether you're a navigator or you're a workforce hub, just let us know which grantee that you're associated with, and we can set you up with access.
And I guess just related to that, just real quick, like you all are kind of setting up those profiles for the grantees, uh, not the profiles, but you are setting up like the I don't know,
Providing
like
access.
are you setting up the program accounts that the users will then connect to, or like
Uh,
so if Emma signs up for a WorkNet account, is that a matter of connecting her to the newly created Dream um,
yes.
program in WorkNet? Okay.
Yeah,
And
we'll
and
go
you
ahead.
you create
We'll
that side?
Right. We'll just, yes, we
Okay.
will have what we call them, different access level or authorization groups. And so we'll just associate your account with that particular authorization group, and then you'll be able to access the information related to Dream. Okay, good question. Um, we do have an area for the technical assistance where we'll see, the different tutorials, videos, schedules, the things to come. Partner tool updates. We list those out. And then we have a high-level guide. There's some other areas we need to add another one for reports. Um, but you can go ahead and see the instructions and the videos that we have. I do want to start out with saying that we are in the process of updating the outreach and partners piece. And so there'll be additional training, that'll come with that. There are some changes to that area. Um, so these are the, basic things that we'll cover, just a high level overview, but then we'll also have, additional trainings so that you can, um, you know, get in more in-depth details and answer some of those questions more in depth for those different areas, whether it's intake or, services or completion. Um, but today's what we're doing today is just a high level um, overview of um, of the system. So we have different programs, as you know. We have the navigators, we have workforce hubs, climate works, returning residents, and we'll be adding the CEJA programs as well. And um, but what I'm going to show you today is the navigator and then a workforce hub example, because the navigators have a little bit different views, not a lot different, but a little bit. And then the workforce hubs, climate works, returning residents have pretty similar views. So as a customer comes in, then, if it's a new person, you can just hit add customer, and we have a few fields that are required. And then let's just do 1216A because I put a person in here earlier. And then we'll put the date of birth in there. An email. If they don't have an email, then you can indicate that they don't have an email. We would prefer if you have the email, to go ahead and enter it, at this time. Let's see, trying to my keep me consistent with my other test people. Um, but you can go, if you don't have the email, hit no email address, it'll create one. But if they really do have an email address, use it, because what the system uses is that email to also search to see if they already have an Illinois WorkNet account. So go ahead and put an address. And I'm using an address that is within the um, area, like either an R3 or EJC R3 area, to make them eligible. But again, we just collect the email, the address, and then we'll put in there that this person is an inquiry. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my navigator information in there. And once I add a person in, then I'll see this consent. You read the consent to them and say, I've read the consent to the customer, and they agree to the consent. And then you indicate, you save it. And if at any time this person in this part of the process wishes, they said that, this isn't for me, I don't want to do this, then you can indicate that they don't want to be contacted. Um, the next question is, do you need any accommodations to help complete this pre-screen? If you say yes, then, there's a box here. If you say no, then that box goes away. It's going to include the information that you entered previously. So if you want to include a phone number, you can do that. The email, date of birth, how did you hear about this program? Are you interested in working in construction or building trades? Are you interested in clean energy? We're going to say yes. You can choose which ones that they may be interested in. Are you interested in applying for an apprenticeship program? Yes or no. In this section right here, are you willing and able to put in the time required for this program? So, you can talk about, as a navigator, the different types of programs that are available, some general information about those different types of programs. They can say yes, no, or unsure, because they may not know at this time, like some of the more detailed pieces, but you can go ahead and, again, yes, no, or unsure. And then also, this is an opportunity to tell them about the different types of support services that are available. So, maybe they're interested in receiving some of those to help them through that training. We have our address information. If they are not in an R3 or an EJC area, then there are some other ways that these customers can be eligible. So if you answer yes to any of these, then you can say, then you could be eligible. So we're going to go ahead and just say no for those right now. We collect some demographic information. You can choose whatever applies. You can have a veteran status. Have you completed high school? Do you have your GED? Yes, no, I'm in a program working towards it, or no. If you say no, then I'll say, are you willing to get it? And if you say yes, you're all good to go. We'll just say yes for now. So then, oh, it's getting hung up for me for whatever reason. But then once it's doing, I'm not sure what I did here, but you'll be able to check a program. I think it got hung up on the person I was on earlier. But let me go ahead and show you, because I did something, got hung up on my other person. Let's see here. We'll go with the one I was just working on earlier in my test area. And take a look at them and their intake and their pre-screen information. You can see that Oh, I don't know what I did here. There we go. Um, we have that this person, you can see up here whether they're eligible. We have our workforce hub. And then you can say, that's what I'm choosing for today. And then I, I, I did something to this person. I'm not sure what I did. Workforce hubs, and then that they're interested, and then you can select which provider that they go to and enter the pre-screening date. You can also enter a follow-up section. So let's say that you talk to them, but they're not really sure at this time. So you can follow up with, put a date in here. And then we have a dashboard that'll say, this person's ready for a follow-up based on the date that you enter here, and you can enter some notes. So once they're in the system, then you can take a look as a navigator. You have access to their progress page and their intake page, but you'll see some of these other areas are not entered in or not available. And that's because the navigators can go ahead and complete all the information that's on the intake page, but it's used as like a referral. So if I'm entered in as this navigator and I'm referring them to Richland, then Richland will go ahead and review the rest of the intake, and then they can move on to adding services. So, um, so some of these items for this person, we have the pre-screening, we have the application. With the application, there's just a few extra questions about, do you have your social security number? If you do, then you can enter it into the system, the social security number into the system. Um, if the person either doesn't have a social security number or they do, but you don't have it at the time, you're not required to put it into the system, and you'll still be able to continue on with the program. If you do have it, it'd be nice to be able to put it in there so that they can use that information for more like data matching in the future. Let's see here. Um, we do ask some other additional questions as part of the application. Some more information about contact information related to the phone. Um, what sex assigned at birth, female, male. Um, how do you describe yourself now? There's options for those. And then, again, it's going to pull in how you responded with the previous, like the race question, as well as with your diploma, authorized to work, and some of these others. As you're going through the application, if it states it in the pre-screening, but maybe the person said, no, I didn't have a misdemeanor or anything before, but once you're like in the conversation and they want to let you know that yes, they actually did, you can update it in the application before um, before you submit the information. I'll show you what it looks like. So this is you know, fills in what you had, but you can change it. And then it's going to check for the eligibility, and it'll tell you what areas they've met the requirements. And then you can continue to intake. If the person at that time says that they're just, I've changed my mind, I'm not interested, you can indicate that they're not interested. But we'll continue with intake. You'll see the summary, which I was just covering. You can sign as the applicant, or you can upload, if you have a paper version, you just see what I have here. I have like a test document I can put in there. And then you can put in like your signature date and sign it. And then you'll see the information that was put in there was signed. This was the customer that I had. And then if I want to sign it as either the navigator or the case manager, let's see, signed in as them. I can have this is my test person, and I have it assigned. So you can print this out, and then you can also return back to intake. And so I'm still logged in here as a navigator. You can still do these same steps as a workforce hub, returning resident. If you're looking at this through the returning residents view, there are a few questions that we just don't ask because they're not applicable for their situation. The next area is the career assessment. So you can say, I've not worked before, this is my first job. If you have worked, it collects some information about your previous employment. For time's sake, I'm just going to say I've not worked before. And we have some questions in here about some jobs have lifting requirements. Some require you to stand for longer periods of time. And what's your career goal? You can pick a secondary career goal. You can indicate the various different areas that you're interested in, and then hit save. And once you hit save, your career assessment will be listed on this page. You can select it and you can see the responses. If you're like, oh darn, I made a mistake and that's not the right person or something like that, you can delete it and re-enter it. We also have the service needs assessment, and this can be completed by the navigator or the grantee, Workforce Hub, Climate Works, Return Resident. And so we have different sections, like, do you need accommodations? If you say yes, then it has a listing of the various accommodations you could choose from. And the comments, you can add comments. So do you have steady, reliable internet access? Yes. If you say no, it pops it open so you can identify what kind of services that they need. Do you have a computer? We'll just say yes. Do you feel confident? Yes. Do you have a phone to communicate with your case manager? Yes. Do you have transportation concerns? We'll say yes. And maybe, I do not have transportation. So that's their scenarios. I don't have transportation. And you'll see that each of these areas, even up here, we have it broken in down into referrals. So is this something that you need to refer them to someone else to get this type of assistance? Or is this something that you're going to be supporting in-house? So we'll just say, I don't have transportation. I need public transit card. And then we'll just say that, do you require any assistance for child or family member care? We'll say no. Do you need assistance with housing? We'll just say no for now. Food? Nope. Healthcare? No. Legal assistance? Would you like to receive any legal assistance? Again, these are all you say yes or no. It's the same basic process for each of these sections. Do you want to learn about budgeting or finance? You can say yes. You say provide financial literacy for that. Mentor, yes or no. Application fees, yes or no. Do you have high school diploma? Well, yes. Are there any other fees or assistance that's needed? If you say yes, you can see uniforms or other. If you say other, it's going to, you can type it in here, but it's also going to tell you to get a hold of your grant manager or your regional administrator, just to make sure that whatever that extra fee um, is, is an approved expense for barrier reduction. So once you submit this, then your information will be saved in the system, and you can add and update these service needs assessments as you need to. And then this link just provides all of your different assessments in um, in one great big long page. At this point in time, whenever I added a person, I forgot to point this out, that when I add a person, that's a person is an inquirant. And then whenever I complete the pre-screening, they move to the pre-screening level. Once I start the application, they become an applicant. And so right now they're in the application phase, or they're an applicant. And at this point in time, if they for whatever reason decline to participate, you can mark them as declined to participate, or if I don't know, something's taking for a while, maybe they won't be able to get into a cohort for a few months, and they need to be transferred to a different grantee or navigator, you can do a transfer at this point in time. So once they are enrolled, and that automatically happens whenever you start a service for this individual. But once they're enrolled, then they would have to be withdrawn from the program. They can't just decline to participate. They would have to be withdrawn from the program. And so this is everything that you can see from a navigator's standpoint. Okay, let me refresh this because it's been a while since I've been on this page. And so I had searched for this person earlier as one of my person I just entered. And if I take this out, you'll see that they have, a variety of people that they have already working with. But the person that I just entered, do this one. I can start typing and I can search for the individual. There's a variety of other ways I can search for these people as well. But you can see that this navigator entered them into the system and had referred them to Richland. I am now the test person for Richland. And so I can go in here and I can see all the information that's been added for this person. So we have intake. I can still see everything that's been added. And then you'll see I have some additional areas over here with the career plan and so forth. So I could review the information. I'm talking to the person. I can upload the signed agreement. If you have that with your organization, I can add case notes. And then at this point in time, I'm like, oh, I want to add a cohort. I'm going to add them to, a cohort of some sort. I'm just going to pick one. And we'll pick some dates here. So you can, whenever you're, going through and talking to this person, you know which cohort you're going to add them into, and that's is how you assign them to a cohort. When you go ahead and go into the career plan, it's going to be pre-populated with a couple of services. It's going to be pre-populated with the bridge service and the follow-up service. If you're in climate works, it'll be pre-populated with a pre-apprenticeship program. But for the workforce hubs and returning residents, it's pre-populated with a bridge training service. And so this view was set up to be more like a builder. So you could take a look at their assessments, have a discussion about the assessments. You can set goals. These right here, we just use bucket areas right now for the goals. But if you wanted to enhance those goals, to make them more custom to the individual, you're welcome to do that. It's going to be pre-populated with completed training and to get a job. But if you, like I said, if you wanted to um, customize those, you can edit it and customize the text for those. So you reviewed the assessments, you worked with them to set some goals, and now you're going to add or edit the services that are for that individual. To do that, like I said, you're pre-populated with these services already, but you can go here and click add services and you can select from some other things. So I think one of them I put was like financial literacy was one of the things I said that this person needed. So I could click on adding financial literacy. So I added the service. Now I need to assign it to a goal. And so I'm just going to click on the little pencil and I'm just going to add it to complete training. I'm going to say it's planned and not started. We'll start that, towards the end of January, and we'll go through February, and we'll say it's like 2 hours per week. You can add in some other notes. You can identify a service provider, so it's Richland, and maybe this is ABC program, and then update the customer service, and then you'll be prompted to enter a case note. So I don't know. And then you can type in whatever notes they are. You can use this case note feature as information to make a case note in the system, but you can also use it to send a message to the customer. So if there's something that was maybe I wanted to say, this financial literacy, whenever you come, make sure you bring this, this, and that. You could do that and you can send it as a message in an email that saves it as a case note, but then you could also choose to send it to the customer. In this case, we're just going to save it as a case note, and then that's good. It's all saved. Whenever the service is started, I can go in here and just mark it as started. We do have different types of services. So we have training services, which require a post-assessment of 70% or higher before you can mark it as successfully completed. You can also add various credentials on to, like if as completing a financial literacy course, I earned a specific credential, industry recognized credential. You can put that in here and save it as well. I'm not going to do that right now because I haven't even started the service, but these are examples of these are just always in here, and then these can be custom to the training program that you selected. Okay. We do have some other services that are for the, let's see what we're doing on time. I'll go ahead and add one. We do have another type of service here. Let's see, is it called support or wraparound? Wraparound support service. There we go. We'll go ahead and add that service. And we'll go ahead and add it to complete training. And I'm going to say this one is started, and we'll say it started on the 11th. We'll say this is going to go run through February. And we can put a 0 because it may or may not really have hours that are associated with it. We'll select our training provider, or our provider, I should say. and then update the service. And then you can put a note here, save it as a case note. And then the dollar value. So this is the main thing that I wanted to point out with the wraparound support services is because in the what do you call it, the service needs assessment, I indicated that this particular person, I believe, needed transportation. So you can see like these are aligned with what's in the service needs assessment. And then I said that this person needed public transit fare card. I can say the method is, let's just say, a bus pass. And we're going to start that on the 10th. And the individual costs is, we'll say $20. And then I give them two. And it's not a cost estimate. It's paid for by the grant and it's not a split payment. I could put, whether it's an invoice number or if you have different numbers that are associated with, these, whatever you're providing the service with, you can enter those in here. They're not required. You can put notes in here and hit save. And so as you go through, it's going to keep a running cost or running list, excuse me, of the services, the wraparound support services that have been provided. Um, we have various reports that you can pull to see all these different service costs that have been entered into the system. And, if you're looking at the individual, you can search by keyword if they have, especially if they have a list, a variety of listing line items here. So, um, so just as a real quick recap for what we've done so far, the person has gone through intake. In this example, they started with a navigator. The navigator completed the pre-assessment, the application, I believe the career assessment, and the service needs assessment. And they went over to the Workforce Hub. The Workforce Hub reviewed all the information, said that's great. We're going to put you in this cohort and let's go ahead and get all your information in the system and get you started. And and we're going to start recording the services and providing services. So what this does is as you are making updates to the system, then it will update the progress page. Now the progress page is updated every like nighttime is usually. Some are early morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that. But if you're making updates on this person, you can hit like this refresh status and it'll give you a more up-to-date listing of the things that have been completed for this person. So you can see for my intake, it's good. I can view this summary of all my assessments. The navigator will have access to this progress page, so the navigators can keep track and see what's going on with this person also. You can see we have, I haven't put in the bridge information, but so it still needs to be put in there, but the other stuff that I put in there, the start and end dates and everything are all good. And then you can see that in the service needs section, we have the service needs assessment of the wraparound services. So in the service needs assessment, I indicated that the transit card was needed and the financial literacy, and I added both both of these. So both of these have been addressed. So it's saying that it's good. And then you can see that I still need to enter credentials, and then I still would need to enter the completion information. So as time goes on, I can see one of the things that we have here is there's a attendance requirement. And so while we don't track attendance in the system, we do have a red flag basically that says NT, has missed X number of days and they're not meeting the attendance requirement. It's just a flag that would need to be done manually. It's not done automatically because we don't track attendance within the system. But if it needs to be a red flag, you can indicate that in the system that they're not meeting that attendance requirement. Hmm. Okay. So as time goes on, and I have, excuse me, I'm trying to get my other listing here. So if time goes on, we enter in all of the information. You can see this person's enrolled. It switched over to enrolled when I started them with a service. And so you can see that was, well, I moved the person, but they had been marked as enrolled. And so now I want to show you a person that's been completed or exited. So you can go to this when your person has gone through, you've entered all their services, they've completed it, you've entered the credentials, you've marked them as successfully completed or unsuccessfully completed or withdrawn, whatever the case may be. You end up closing all of their training services, whether it's successful or unsuccessful. Then you can go in here and mark their completion status. I'm just going to go that. This person was marked as complete. And then you can indicate, this means that they've completed training, but they can still receive services that aren't training services. And then once they are finished with all of their services, uh, they're not receiving any more services, you can go in here and mark the program completion status as exited. So you can see we have that information in there. And of course, this is an older example, but you can also enter in transition outcomes. So we have apprenticeship, job placement, other training, open small business, job search. So depending on what transition service you enter, it's going to show you, what information needs to be collected based on the type of transition service that you select. So once you have selected that transition outcome, I kept saying transition service, sorry, transition outcome, and that information will be listed on the screen. You can see us as a test person, so we entered quite a bit of information. You'll also see if they have their case notes for their follow-up, so keep track of those. You'll be able to see which credentials have been entered for this person. And then you'll also be able to add a success story for this person as well from this page. Let's see. We do have some other areas for like their case notes. So you can see all the different case notes that have been entered for this individual. You can search for the case notes. You can add a case note from here, filter by date range, and you can export a case note. Let's see here. So we do have a few other areas, where you can look at information that's specific to this person. You can reset the person's password if they need to get into their Illinois WorkNet account that's available right here. And let's see, I think those are the high level items. Oh, we do have, whenever you're entering your information into the system, you would complete a work plan. So whenever you're doing that for the first time, you would pick the calendar year, who you are, and then hit submit project work plan. And whenever you go to this page, you'll enter the project information. You don't have to put in the grant number. Um, you can choose. We have the project manager, reporting staff, fiscal staff, and the people that you see listed here are the people that have access. We talked about those authorization groups, like they have an Illinois WorkNet account, they've been associated with your grant, and we can go ahead and that's how that list, that like pick list is created. It's all the people that have access to the reporting system you can choose from. We've had questions about, oh, well, if I have more than one person that's responsible for the reporting staff, then I would say pick the primary contact. At this person at this point in time, you can only select one person for each of these options. For your project overview, you can just copy and paste it into this section. We have an area for activities and outcomes. You'll see that each of these areas, they're a little bit different depending on, if you're uh, ClimateWorks, Workforce Hubs, navigators, or returning residents, but this does apply, this basic concept applies to each of those programs. You're going to see an area for activities and outcomes, and they're all required. So you put in a number here. You can put in 0. That does meet the requirement for filling this out. You'll be able to see the training programs that you entered. We didn't cover that today, but you'll be able to, that's one of the things that we'll do when we get you set up, is to help you with entering in your training program information. So you'll be able to see that listing of those training programs and the statuses of whether they're approved or not. And then if you are like ClimateWorks, Workforce Hubs, or returning residents, then you'll be able to enter your cohort information. And so for cohorts, you'll have the name, the type, bridge, job specific, pre-apprenticeship, capacity, start and end dates, provider. That's where you select from your listing of your training providers, and then notes. So the notes would be something like, oh, well, the first part of this training is at this building, the second part of the training is at this building, something like that, or whatever other information that you feel is important for people to know. And so once you have that done, then your RA will review and approve it. And then this information is used to do the plan versus actual report here in just a moment. We also have a variety of reports that are available. So I mentioned before, like the costs. So you can see the different costs for either individuals or for your group and filter and narrow down. We have a cohort report that will be used by, um, can be used by anybody. Well, within the system. I'll say I'm looking for a job specific and I'm looking for workforce hubs. I can say, if I said, oh, well, this person is interested in construction, I say, oh, well, we have this construction one, and these are the planned start and end dates for this cohort, and this is what their capacity is. And so far, they only have 5 people enrolled. So, you can help direct the traffic, I guess you could say, the individuals to like the right hub or program based on, taking a look at the start dates, the end dates, if they have capacity, and then you can also view the related cohort information. And then if you click on the address, you can do, look at a map to see the distance and how to get to that particular training program or provider. So that information can be used to help you with helping individuals to get them lined up with the right programs. And let's see. And then we do have other reports within the reporting section. demographic reports, narrative reports. Again, submitting like success stories and so forth. So there's a variety of tools here to help you. And then one last one. Let's see, I'm in as this grantee. We're gonna look at all. This one, sometimes this report takes a little bit of time sometimes because it's like pulling information from everywhere in the system. This is the plan versus actual dashboard is aligned with your work plan. So based on the planned numbers that you have, you can see a column here, and then the actuals list, you know, this is based, the actual numbers are based on the data that's in the system. So for this example, you can see we have, this number of applicants, this number of people enrolled, this number of people that completed bridge. You can see these are the different certifications of people that completed the bridge and who, how many people got each of those certifications. And then, you can click on it to see a list of people that, like, for example, for OSHA, if it says 6 people, you can click on that and you'll get a list of those 6 people. You can also see these are show hide. So show the number of completers by training program provider. So this would be like for the bridge cohort 1 or 2, 3, 4. You can see who's associated with each of those cohorts. And the same happens for each of the job specific as well. And then you can get some information, about the different characteristics, where this comes from their application, and then the transition outcomes. So that comes from that completion follow-up area for transition outcomes. And then this one is specific to Workforce Hubs, but it's the various types of program completion scenarios and who falls within each of those scenarios. So the plan versus actual and the work plan, again, those will vary from the different types of programs based on the requirements, but the overall set of tools is by and large like the same. They're just maybe a little bit tweaked a little bit differently for each of the programs that are offered through CEJA. So that was a lot of information that I shared with you in a short amount of time. Are there any questions, or would any of the RAs like to add anything? The grantee, okay, I saw a question. Is the work plan information entered from the plan we submitted with our application, or does the grantee enter the work plan information? The grantee does enter the work plan information. And once you have all the information set up in the system, then your RA will go through and, review it and make and approve it.
And Natasha, all I would just want to say is this is Michelle Cerruti of the Southern region. I have one grantee in all this, and I will be reaching out to you today to get some weekly meetings set up. And happy to go through different sections because I know this was a lot. So especially the work plan stuff.
Yeah, and we do have additional orientations sessions coming up, right? So we'll have the
Yes.
part A for the orientation, and then part B will be the related system information. So we don't expect you to like absorb everything that I called today or went over today. The idea was so that we could give you a high level overview of everything, but then also give you access to what we call UAT, user acceptance testing. It's a it's an area that we do update and we put new things out there. So there's like testing that's going on out there. Um, but you'll be able to at least get into the system, you know, move around, kind of get familiar with some of the tools so that whenever we're at some of those other sessions, you might have some additional questions by just, having played around with the test area. Yes. we'll be posting the session recording as well. Yes. All right. Any other last minute questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you taking the time to view this session. Do we have another? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.